When you're reading a persuasive evidence-based argument, one thing to consider is status quo thinking about that subject. In other words, there's a conversation going on in our communities, in our cities, with our family and our friends, and we want to think about how the writer contributes to that current conversation. One way to understand that concept, that status quo thinking, is to ask, what are your friends and family saying about this topic? In other words, what would the average American or San Antonian say about this subject? I've been doing a lot of reading lately about food and about cooking. And when I found this section of Bon Appetit, I really found it interesting for a couple of reasons. It's called Cooking in the Time of the Coronavirus. And I think it speaks to a lot of the things that people are saying about food and cooking right now. Their subtitle says Pantry Friendly Recipes, Indispensable Advice, Thoughtful Essays, and More for When You've Got Nowhere to Be But Home. And I think that sums up the situation that a lot of us find ourselves in right now. We need pantry friendly recipes that help you understand what to do with the things that you have on hand. Especially because right now, some families are struggling to make ends meet. Some families are struggling to put food on the table. And so we need solutions for things that taste good, that use what we already have in our kitchens right now. This is another article title from Bon Appetit, and it says 15 staple recipes the Bon Appetit staff turns to when there's nothing in the fridge. And I think this, again, speaks to a lot of what people are saying about food and cooking right now. Some people are saying, I'm tired of eating the same old things, or I only have these limited things in my fridge and I need to know what to do with them. I was looking at this article in particular called 31 Easy Dinner Recipes for When You Just Can't with Cooking. The subtitle says, whether it's a lack of time or motivation that ails you, we've got you covered. And I really liked this article because I am someone who loves to cook. I like trying out new recipes. I'm the person who cooks every night for our family. I really enjoy cooking, and I've been really interested in cooking and taught myself how to cook when I was in my 20s. And so I've been interested in cooking for a pretty long time and have been cooking every night for my family for about the last 20 years. So when I started thinking about this article, I started thinking about some of these real simple questions. What are you eating and not eating? What are you or your friends or your family cooking and not cooking? What wins and challenges are you facing in the kitchen right now? And I think this is a good question to ask when we consider status quo thinking, because a lot of you may be cooking a lot more for yourselves if you're at home all the time. A lot of you may be cooking to help out your family and trying to help your parents put dinners on the table or making lunches for yourself. So when we think about status quo thinking, we want to consider what's going on right now. What are people saying about this topic? And I don't know about you, but for me, I just can't with cooking right now. My family has been really eating just basic stuff lately. We're just kind of eating tacos and sandwiches, salads, canned soups. We're cooking a lot of Instant Pot recipes, which is something that I wasn't doing before. We're not cooking anything that requires a lot of steps or takes a lot of time. And I think the only win I had recently was with baking just some real basic chocolate chip cookies with my children and with my mom. And so the big challenge that I think we're facing in my family is that I feel like we're eating the same things over and over and over again. And I'm just sick and tired of trying to cook every night. And so that's one of the ways that, in my mind, this article contributes to the current conversation about food and cooking. And it's right here in that subtitle. It speaks to whether we have a lack of time or a lack of ingredients. I'll add that for myself, a lack of ingredients or a lack of motivation. And what they're trying to do in this article is to speak to those readers who are finding themselves in the same situation.